Welcome back to PyByteYouTube, and today it's not a Python video nor mindset, but we're going to do Unix. We're going to make one change to multiple files using the command line. So let's dive straight in. I found an interesting problem the other day where I wanted to change the style of a button in Bootstrap in multiple files. And to see what files I'm talking about, let's use AG or the Silver Searcher, which I introduced in a previous video. This tool is very handy to look recursively through your code. So to first look at the files that I want to target, let's do an AG button primary, which is the CSS class of Bootstrap, applied to the buttons in the whole tree of files. To only get the file names, I can use the -L. So now I get all the files with a button primary class. To loop over the files, and here's where the Unix power comes in, because my default would be to write a Python script, but sometimes you don't have to. So here I can just loop over the files using for file in, and I can make this command a subshell, and $parentheses will execute this command in a subshell. And then I can just bounce the file in every loop. So for loop is for variable in a sequence, which is the return of this subshell command, semicolon, do something in each loop. So just here echoing the file, and notice that to define a variable we don't use the $sign, but then to reference it, and this is all bash scripting, we use the $, and then another semicolon, and then done to indicate the end of the for loop. And I made a syntax error because actually in the for loop you need a do. So it's for do something done. All right. So now I have all the files listed in a for loop. So now instead of echoing, I can do something else. And to replace text, I can use set. So I can use set, and I can define a regular expression, but in this case I just going to do a literal string, and SG with these forward slashes is the syntax to change one string into the other. So I want button primary, and I want to replace that with button dark. I want all my blue buttons to become dark or black. Now this doesn't work yet, and that might be a Mac issue. So let's just run this. Actually that does work, but it prints it to the console. So my git status, for which I have an alias gs, says that nothing changed. So to do this in place, I need to specify the -I switch, and then I get an invalid command code, which might be Mac, I'm not sure. But what -I expects here is a backup extension. So if I would run it with this, the changes would be made, but I would also get a backup file, which I don't want because all the files are under version control. So I can freely play with them and undo any changes. So let's just see that. Now effectively the changes were made, but also I get this bunch of back files which I don't want. So let's remove those. I can do a find for all the files that end in .back, and then I can use xargs to do an operation on every one of those. So if I run this first, I get all the back files that were created, and to delete them one by one, I can do xargs rm. Now I still have those changes from the previous command, and before showing them, let's undo this. So I got an alias set up, which is called undo. And that's actually defined in my git config. So in my git config, I have a couple of global aliases. So if I do git undo, it effectively runs git checkout --star, which will restore all these changes I made to my working directory in Git. So now I'm clean again. So let's run the command again, but this time without a backup. And that's the final command that will make this work. So if we provided an empty string, it doesn't make the backup, it will just do this replacement in place. And it seems that I need this extra space between the -i and the empty string. So now we got the same diff, but we don't have the back files anymore, which is what I want. And now we can look at what changes were made. So effectively, the diff tells me that button primary was changed in button dark. And the interesting thing is that it did it for all the files that were matching that AG criterion. And that looks good to me. So I can add the files to my staging area, do git status again, and I can commit the changes. And that's it. Oh, by the way, this is my pre-commit hook running a couple of checks upon commit. And I will do another video on pre-commit because it's a very powerful tool that can save you a lot of time in making your code prettier. So I hope this shows that you not always need a Python script, but with a few powerful command line tools, in this case AG, the for loop, and set, you can do very powerful things. So knowing your command line definitely will make you a more effective developer. Hey, it's Bob again. I hope you enjoyed that video, that you learned a few new things, and above all that these kind of tricks will make you a more effective developer. If you like our content, subscribe below to not miss any future videos, and I will see you in that next video.